Hi, I'm Marisela Abasta, and I'm going to share with you something today that is going to change your life. It's probably most likely something that you've never heard before. Um, it is something that I learned over 20 years ago. I was actually in a deep clinical depression at the time with constant thoughts of suicide. I was sleeping my days away, actually. And I was on antidepressants, anti-anxiety. There was times I even had sleeping pills because I had such severe insomnia. But at that time, I was desperate for a cure, desperate to find the reason behind it. No one in the white coat community can give me answers. They all made me feel hopeless, like I was gonna, they would literally tell me you're gonna live like this for the rest of your life. So I actually proved them wrong. I found someone that understood what depression was, understood the reason behind depression, understood what starts depression. I connected and found an amazing mentor that taught me how to heal the depression. I did everything that I was taught. I healed my past, and I was able to cure the depression that I had been living with for 4 years. I had been living with that depression for 4 years, in that deep clinical depression where I slept all day. I was dealing with that for the last year of that. I had two little ones. I was stressed out, overwhelmed, going through a divorce. I was going to school part-time, working full-time in a job that I had hit the glass ceiling life was just a little stressful, a little overwhelming, and it just got to a point where I just didn't want to deal with life anymore. So I ended up taking everything that I learned, use it in my own life. Within about 45 days, I actually started feeling differently. It took me about a year to really get out of that the severe depression that I was in. But once I learned that process, I have not dealt with, felt, experienced any form of that depression in I think I'm going on 23 years. So it is so curable. It's just a matter of understanding what depression is, and why you become depressed. And you know what? Let me just share with you right now. So understanding why you're depressed. So depression actually is a symptom of unprocessed emotions from our past. We go through life, we have traumatic, emotionally charged events. And in that process, in that emotionally charged event comes emotions. We have these feelings. Actually, we have a feeling, and then with the feeling comes the emotions. And so we have these emotions, and we're not taught how to process emotions. We're told to stop crying, shut up. No one wants to hear you crying. Go to your room. You know what I mean? We're not taught to process those emotions. So what happens is we end up just keeping the emotions, we shove them down into our subconscious mind, and then our subconscious mind holds them there until we're in our 20s. And usually in our early 20s, about 21, 22, and what I've been seeing even over these past 20 years, 20 years ago is when I started this personal development journey. And in that journey, I've been doing my own empirical research. Everybody that I've connected with, all my clients, all the people around me that I know suffer from depression, I have always paid attention to the patterns and wanting to understand how to help them better, but also understand where where it begins, right? So we'll get into the core of it. So where it begins normally, or where it starts, is it starts to come up in your 20s, early 20s. So we have these emotions, they get stuck in our subconscious mind, they come up in our 20s, and because we're not taught how to process them, we try to shove them down. How do we do that? We find addictions. We find things to keep ourselves busy, our mind busy, to be able to not have to feel or not have to deal with the emotions that we don't even know how to deal with. So we shove them back into our subconscious mind. And so we start overworking. We start maybe over-exercising. For me, my addiction, everything is an addiction. Something that you do to keep you from feeling your emotions is an addiction. So my addiction of choice was sleep. So for 4 years, when I would feel the depression coming on, I would sleep. So when I was 21 actually is when the depression actually came up. That's when I initially felt it, and they were memories. They come up in the form of memories. So it was memories of being molested by my stepdad. So here I'm married, I have 2 little girls, and this memory of, these memories of being molested started coming up. And so I kept trying to shove them down. So I started working. I started going to school. I still had children. I over stressed my life by trying to not feel it. And so eventually my subconscious mind said, I can't take no more. So that's when the depression set in. And the way I dealt with the depression was, again, through sleeping. So it could be any addiction. It could be alcoholism. It could be sex addiction. It could be hoarding. It could be gambling addiction. It could be a drug addiction. Anything that you're doing to avoid the emotion can become an addiction. So anyway, so we become addicted. And what that does is that it creates an emotional block. It's almost like this wall that you hit where you can't go past, you stay stuck in life. You can't move forward. You're not happy. You're not, you're feeling miserable. You're feeling disconnected with life. You're feeling like you can't handle much more. When that emotional block comes up, you can't go past it. That's when you're feeling stuck. So what you have to do is you have to go back. The way to heal it is you have to go back to those emotional blocks that you've created, those memories that you've tried so hard to suppress, and you heal them through a process. I teach this process in my Life Empowerment Academy. It's called the Life Empowerment Process. I teach not just the process that I learned from my mentor 20 years ago, but I also teach you the process to transform yourself from the core of the fundamental parts of you, the core of you. I know back then I just wanted to completely change myself 100%. I wanted a complete transformation. I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about emotionally, mentally. I had negative thoughts. I was self-loathing. I had no confidence, no self-esteem, no self-love. So I wanted a full, inner mind, mindful makeover or something, And so for me, this process of healing the emotions and removing those emotional blocks is what got me to transform my life. It's what got me to become the person I wanted to be. I didn't want to be that person anymore. I didn't want to live that depressed life anymore. I had 2 little girls to worry about. They were 4 and 5 years old. I didn't want that life. I knew I had to completely transform all parts of me and had to pivot. I had to get out of that deep miserable hole I was in. I was in the deepest part of depression, the most deepest part. The day that I found this mentor is the day that I thought I had killed myself. I had gone to bed, set my alarm, and when I woke up, I couldn't feel myself. I couldn't, move my arms. I couldn't do anything. I just knew I was consciously awake, and they say that when someone commits suicide, that there's a split second of regret. And I felt that split second of regret, and I was devastated because I thought I had killed myself in my mind. But anyways, so that's a different story. I'll share that story with you another time of that day that God intervened and brought this mentor into my path. But anyways, that's what I wanted to share with you today. Depression is curable. It's a symptom of unprocessed emotions from our past. It keeps you depressed. So separate. It's a dis-ease of your subconscious mind because it no longer wants to hold on to the stuff that it's been holding on to for so long. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to leave any comments that you have. I want you to know that the life that you want is on the other side of healing those emotional blocks. It's on the other side of learning this process. It's on the other side of what you want. It's not on the other side of what you want. It's on the other side of pushing through that fear of not understanding what depression is. It's on the other side of that. Once you understand what it is, and I've showed a little bit here, that's when life is going to change. Anything that you want, life and a happy life, any kind of life that you want is a choice. It's always going to be your choice. All right, take care. Bye.